Honorable Men Discord. Basketball player Draymond Green talks about the NBA and its unfair fines. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to go straight to it. This is courtesy of the Big Podcast. It's featuring Shaq. I believe it's also sponsored by Playmaker. You see the logo to the opposite corner. And before I even hit play on this, let me just start by saying this. I labeled this rich people problems, but obviously I said that to be sarcastic because, listen, this is life. Once I play this, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is life, but I'm going to play this video and I'm going to share my thoughts on it. So let's just get straight to it.
It don't make sense. You know, when you talk about as hard as we work to accumulate wealth, coming from situations that most people never make it out. And then you get fined the way we get fined. It's actually not set up for us to be wealthy after we're done playing. This job is not set up the way we're taxed.
Oh, California?
The way we're taxed, the way we're fined. And, you know, you hear about all these programs like this program, this program. That is to cover everybody. This program is to teach this guy this. But if I do something wrong, I lose $100,000. Man, it took my mom 4 years when I was growing up to make $100,000. And I lose that in the night because, what? The referee got mad at me and he didn't like what I said to him. So I lose $5,000 like that, like on a text.
All right. Here's the thing. I am sorry, but I'm not sorry when I hear athletes complain about money issues, professional athletes that are making substantially way more than the 9-to-5ers. All right. This episode is not for you business owners that are well off. You're doing well. Your business is doing well. Your business is thriving. I'm happy for you. This is not for you. This is not directed to you. All right. This episode is for the 9-to-5ers. Now, by all means, for those of you that are 9-to-5ers, how absurd does this sound coming from Draymond Green? I'd like to hear from you in the comment section. I think this is absolutely absurd. On one hand, I understand where he's coming from when he's talking about the amount that the fine is for certain infractions. But here's the thing. For those of us that are 9-to-5ers, we understand, at least I'd like to believe we understand, the private sector could do what it wants. I'm going to say that one more time. The private sector can do what it wants. All right? And here's the thing. Even outside of the private sector, if we're talking about city and state jobs, all right, there's things that are involved in city and state jobs that are unfair. This is why unions were created, to protect the workers. Now, whether or not you believe in unions, whether or not you think unions are good or bad, that's not what this episode's about. The thing is, there's a lot of things in life that's just not fair. But people have to eat it. Now, the 9-to-5ers, the lower class, the middle class, however you want to frame it, this is the norm for us. And I'm gonna say this right now. For those of you that live in major cities, and I'm gonna speak about New York, I don't know what it's like in other major cities outside of New York, as far as the different ways that they the different things that they find to implement to generate funds, extra funds. But here in New York City, as a New York City resident, for the life of me, I don't understand why to go from one borough to another, we are paying the same fees as someone that doesn't live in the state with different plates. That's one. Someone make that make sense for me. So for those of you New Yorkers that are watching this episode, make that make sense to me, that as a New Yorker, if I'm going from Queens to the Bronx, I'm paying the same fee as someone who's passing through that, someone maybe visiting someone, a family member, someone with Connecticut plates. someone with Pennsylvania plates, someone with New Jersey plates. Why am I paying the same fee as them? And my plates could show you that I'm a resident of New York State. That in itself is something to talk about. Why am I bringing that up? Because here is Draymond talking about some things within the league that could be avoided. See, Draymond represents the small group of athletes that, on one hand, he wants to talk about his mother and how hard it would be for her to make $100,000. So he wants to, tap back into the past as far as the struggles. But you're an NBA champion. You're an NBA player. You're a starter. You have been blessed blessings on top of blessings. You have blessings on top of blessings. And here you are on the podcast with Shaq complaining as though a lot of the fines that you received, you were incapable of preventing. He's acting as though a lot of the fines that he received, he was incapable of preventing. We all know Draymond represents that group of athletes, much like Ja Morant. Who else can I think of? There's another one. There's another player that I have in my mind. Can't think of his name right now, but let's just stick to Ja Morant and Draymond Green. Between the both of them, a lot of the issues that they've had, a lot of the fines, suspensions, could have been avoided. And here's where certain athletes lack accountability. You want to receive blessings and then act a fool with your blessings. I can't salute people that do things like that, because there's regular people like myself out there that, if given an opportunity like that, we would act right. And I'm not saying that everything in the league is perfect. There's nothing perfect in the league. I'm not saying all the rules and regulations are perfect, but you're in a position, much like what Denzel said to Hoyt, Officer Hoyt in training day. You're in a privileged situation. You can learn a thing or two. You're in a privileged situation, Draymond, and you have to act accordingly. All right. Luckily for you, you've gone through so many different suspensions and fines, and you never really seem to have learned anything. From the video footage that leaked out where he punched his teammate, whether or not his teammate provoked it, he's been through so many situations where he put his own coach in situations to stay silent and protect him, when I'm pretty sure Steve Kerr was exhausted with his behavior. I'm pretty sure Curry was exhausted with his behavior. Right? We know that he didn't get along with KD, or KD couldn't take being around him. So KD had to. KD decided to move on from that team. But Draymond, you cannot be the spokesperson for talking about how wrong the league is with fines, because there's plenty of people, plenty of players that do not get fined on the level that you get fined, and they would never find themselves sitting on a couch talking about how unfair the league is with the fines. This is completely about his inability to be accountable for his own actions as a grown man. It's disgusting to see stuff like this, when there's people punching the clock, doing their best to stay afloat. And let me bring it back to New York City. Again, my thoughts is that as a New York City resident, and if this applies to other states as well, then let this apply to other states as well. I don't see why you'd be in a state, and I can only speak to New York because other states don't have 5 boroughs like New York. So I don't know if you cross over to different areas within that state if you're getting charged a certain fee. I don't know about that. But here in New York, for those of you that are not from New York, going from one borough to the next is a charge. Now, there is other bridges that you don't get charged. So the Brooklyn Bridge right now, you don't get charged to go from Manhattan to Brooklyn. And you don't get charged to go from Manhattan to Queens to Queens from the Queensboro Bridge. But they were at one point talking about putting tolls on that, which is just ridiculous to even have that conversation. And this is what I'm talking about. Then on top of it, the camera systems that they set up, on one hand, you could say it was to slow cars down because maybe it was the statistics showed that there were a lot of fatalities due to speeding. That I could understand, but they went above and beyond to put cameras to make money for the city. And you're wondering, like, if they could charge you for the air you breathe, would they? And it sounds funny to say it, but I think New York, if there was an ability to charge people to breathe, New York would do it. They would charge you to breathe because that's how it feels here in New York. If you're a New York resident and you're watching this episode, let me know in the comments about your thoughts on that. But I stand on that. But there's so many other things that are unfair in this world. But the little people, the 9-to-5ers, we know that there's no time to complain about it. You just gotta roll with the punches and figure it out. You see, the things that Draymond is trying to speak about from that clip are avoidable. Those are avoidable inconveniences that Draymond Green is talking about. But going from one borough to another to make $1, that's not avoidable. You have to pay that. I'd rather hear a 9-to-5er complain about the local systems that are in place that are just tapping people's pockets, the everyday people's pockets. I'd rather hear somebody talk about that than to hear a professional athlete that's making millions of dollars complain about fines that they could have avoided. That's my thoughts on Draymond sitting down with Shaq and trying to get Shaq to agree with the egregious fines in the NBA. But listen, that's my thoughts on that. That's my thoughts on that. What is your thoughts on hearing Draymond sit down complaining about fines in the league? Message to you professional athletes. You've been blessed if you haven't realized that. Act accordingly. You can't complain about the private sector. He brought up corporate America, by the way. In corporate America, he would have been out the door. He would have been out the door with the behavior that he has. The problem is, and I understand it to a degree, when you come from nothing and you make a lot of money, you start to get ahead of yourself and start thinking that it can't be taken away. But newsflash, it can be taken away. It can be. Whether it be from your employer or you could be one of those athletes that just have an unfortunate accident that prevents you from being an asset to your team. This happens in all sports. We know plenty of stories of athletes that came into the league. Some didn't even make it past draft. They were in the draft, and then in between the draft and the actual start of the season, they had a major injury, and they never got a chance to even touch the field or the court. We've known plenty. We've grown up to hear so many different names thrown out there that have had unfortunate accidents that took away their chance to make a substantial change in their families' lives. So let the takeaway from this episode be, rather than complain, just look at what you do have and focus more on what you can change within yourself to avoid losing what you have. And so even if it means money lost from your salary because of your own actions, take accountability for those things that you've been doing. But that's my thoughts on this. What's your thoughts? As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, on your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.